The Old Testament laws can be divided into three categories: moral, civil, and ceremonial laws. Dietary regulations are clearly part of the ceremonial category, meant to maintain ritual purity and set Israel apart from the pagan nations. After Jesus fulfilled the ceremonial aspects of the law, those rules are no longer binding on believers today. Now, for my rebuttal to that claim, this is something I hear quite a lot, but I have one simple question about such a claim.
Riddle me this!
Where is this distinction in Scripture? Unless I'm mistaken, there is no distinction of those three. It doesn't have to be a one-to-one word choice, and you could separate those laws in any three categories you want. I mean, you could create categories such as the cool laws, smart laws, and boring laws, for what I care. But don't make that distinction and then claim cool laws are done if the text doesn't make that distinction. Now, you could say there is a civil distinction as outlined in Exodus chapter 21 verse 1. Some translations say judgments, others say ordinances, but the text clearly defines certain laws. I mean, you could even look at Genesis chapter 26 verse 5. Depending on your translation, there are charges, commandments, statutes, and laws. Charges often refer to duties or obligations to religious observance. These laws seem to range from service of the Levites to keeping a jar of manna. Commandments seem to broadly cover divine directives, whether commandments like love thy neighbor to being ritualistic. Statutes, or decrees or ordinances, sometimes refer to specific practices. These statutes are often seen as permanent and binding, reflecting God's will and order for his people. The closest one could say that reflects this ceremonial law distinction are the charges. But even then, there are no scriptures to say the charges are done away with. From how I'm looking at it, it seems that the moral versus ceremonial distinction is based on a framework that seems to put any law in any category based off the individual, not defined in scriptures. Since the dietary commands are ceremonial and therefore obsolete for modern believers, would mean to implement a theological split not shown in the text. It's like saying ceremonial laws have ended for Christians. The dietary laws are ceremonial. Therefore, the dietary laws have ended. But if I ask, how do you know they are ceremonial? There needs to be more evidence than just claiming the commands are ceremonial without opposing what's not in the text. Overall, this simple argument about the dietary commands being ceremonial would need more supporting evidence in the text that says that the dietary commands are ceremonial, or at the very least, only these laws are done away with. I feel there is more needed to explain that argument, and I plan to go over more later in future videos. Click here to hear my rebuttal to the since the dietary laws deal with uncleanness, it's not a sin.